Hello, this is Xavier and Matteo. Today we will be talking about monopolies, and more specifically, profit maximization. Let's begin. When it comes to monopolies, there are 5 very important sources that you need to keep in mind when trying to figure out if a firm is a monopoly or not. The first one is exclusive control over important inputs. The second source is economies of scale. The third source is patents. The fourth source is network economies. Lastly, the last source is government license or franchise, which is when the government creates the monopoly.
Now, the profit-maximizing monopolist has the same goal as in the competitive case. We assume that in this scenario, a monopolist's goal is also to maximize his profit. Alright, now what does this mean exactly? This means that in the short run, you choose an output for which the difference between the total revenue and the short-run total cost is the greatest, okay? So, your Q is chosen for when the difference between TR minus TC is the greatest. Right, so now we're going to take a look at a monopolist's total revenue curve. So, monopolists, TR curve. But in order to understand this, we're actually going to take a look at the perfect competitor's revenue curve to analyse the differences. So, this is a standard perfect competition revenue curve where TR equals P times Q. Now, essentially, if you want to increase TR, you need to either increase the price and increase the quantity. Now here's how it changes for a monopolist. If we look at a monopolist's demand function, this is what we get, where points A, B, and C represent different prices and quantities. So if we take a price of 100, quantity of 100, and here 200, and here 300, where price here is 80, 60, 40, and 20, we see that essentially, if you want to increase your output quantity, so to increase Q, you need to cut down your prices. Right, and so this gives us, back to the monopolist total revenue curve, something like this. This is what a monopolist total revenue curve looks like. So we know that as you increase Q, your price rises. And as you increase Q, your total revenue rises. However, the total revenue increases at first, but then reaches a maximum, and then eventually declines. Now this is one of the key differences with a perfect competitor, who, if you remember correctly, had a straight line as a total revenue curve. So, from this, we have learned that for a monopolist, if you want to increase your sales, you need to cut down on your prices. And we also know that in the total revenue, it rises with the quantity. So, as Q increases, the total revenue will increase. It will reach a maximum value here at Q, and then will decrease. Okay.
Next we will talk about economic profit. Profit is the difference between TR, total revenue, minus TC, total costs. When it comes to graphing, it is quite easy to calculate the profit in this way. Imagine this is your graph. TR is this parabola here, as we discussed earlier, and TC is a line like this. In order to calculate profit, you have to calculate the biggest difference between TR and TC when TR is above TC. So the biggest difference between this point, between this line and this line. This happens when TR and TC are both parallel. Next, we will be talking about marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is the slope of the TR curve, this curve right here. When it comes to profit maximization, it is key to remember a formula, which I will say right now. A profit maximizing monopoly in the short run will choose that level of output Q for which MC, or marginal costs, equal MR, marginal revenue. This point right here is called the optimality condition for a monopolist. A monopolist maximizes profit by choosing the level of output where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. It is important to remember that marginal cost and marginal revenue is the amount of cost or revenue for one more unit of Q.
Price is, as we can see here, 50. So this illustrates this condition here. The marginal revenue is always smaller than the price in a monopoly who is trying to maximize his profits.
There's another way of calculating marginal revenue, and this can be done either by if you have the elasticity of the curve or by calculating the elasticity of a curve. It is important to remember that elasticity equals the difference in Q, delta Q, divided by delta P, times P, the price, divided by Q. This is how you can calculate elasticity. In order to use this formula to calculate marginal revenue, you have to move things around and making it marginal revenue equals the price times 1 over elasticity. Next, I will draw a graphical interpretation of the short-run profit maximization condition. We can do this by graphing. If this is our graph, this is our demand curve, this is our marginal revenue curve. We know that profit maximization is achieved when MR equals MC. If this is our short-run marginal cost curve, right here, we can see that they meet in this spot. This gives us Q, or the quantity when it's profit maximization. If you follow this up to the demand curve, this gives us P. This rectangle here gives us total revenue because P times Q equals total revenue. Now, in order to find the profit, we need to separate this rectangle into profit and revenue, total cost, sorry. This happens if we have a total averaged cost curve that looks like this, we see that where the Q and average total cost meet here would give us total profit. This is because Q times average total costs equals total costs. Therefore, all of this is total costs, and everything above it in this rectangle is profit. Next, we will try and solve an exercise that we have created for you. The exercise is as follows. A monopolist faces a demand curve of P equals 100 minus 2Q. In our short run total cost curve of TC, total cost, equals 640 plus 20Q. Marginal costs are given and they're constant, and they are 20. Now, we must find the profit maximizing price, the quantity, and the economic profit. So let's do this. First, it is always important to have in mind the formula discussed previously, MC equals MR. Since we already have MC, which is 20, we'll try to calculate MR. MR equals to total revenue, and then you have to derive that to find the marginal revenue. So let's do this. Total revenue equals P times Q, which means 100Q minus 2Q squared. We have to derive that then to find the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue then equals to 100 minus 4Q squared. 4Q, sorry. Marginal costs are given, they are 20. So then we have to, if we make both equations equal to each other, we have 100 minus 4Q equals 20. Now, with this equation, we can try and solve for Q. Once you've solved it, Q equals to 20. Next, we will put this Q back into the demand formula, right here. And in this way, we will try to solve for P. After doing the calculations, you will see that P equals 60. So this answers two questions already from the exercise. What is the quantity? 20. What is the price? 60. Now let's find the economic profit. In order to find the economic profit, we have to do the following. We have to take the following steps. First, we will look at the total cost curve. If we divide the total cost by Q, this will give us the average total cost. Let's do it. ATC equals to 640 plus 20Q divided by Q. Since we already know that Q equals 20, ATC equals 52. In order to find the profit of a single unit sold, so by selling a single unit, we can use this 52 by saying the price, 60, of a single unit minus the cost of that single unit, 52, the result being 8. So this 8 is the profit that a firm will get for a single unit sold. If we then multiply this 8 times the 20, which is the quantity sold, we will get the overall profit, which equals to 160. This is the total profit that the firm will get. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.